I will never again curse the ground because of man, for the intent of man's heart is evil from his youth. This isn't quite the covenant yet. This is more a personal resolution that God makes with himself. I find these interesting. What are your thoughts on these first?
It's always been a little bit strange to me for a couple of reasons. The one verse where he says, I will never again flood the earth because man's heart is evil from his youth. It always confused me. I think we talked about this a while back, but is this more him saying like, I would have to keep flooding the earth?
I think that's what it is. He's pointing out that flooding the earth is not going to solve the problem. He would have to flood the earth again and again and again. And so I think he's resolving, he did this to send a message and to make it clear that sin should not be tolerated. But he's not going to just regularly be doing this. He's like, no, it's just a matter of fact. This is how humanity is. I gave them the choice to be good, and they have consistently chosen to rebel against me. I would say this is his grace. I think that's actually probably why it's so confusing, because it's so contrary to how we would act. We would say, well, I'm going to keep flooding the earth, for man's heart is evil from his youth. Whereas God does the opposite because he just thinks so differently than us. He says, no, we're going to find another way to do it. Whenever we get to the gospel, we talk about Jesus dying for us. What we deserved was being washed out in the flood. He's communicating the cost of sin. So this is what we deserve, but then you've got God's character, who is determined to not give people what they deserve, but who is determined to give them the good things that he wants to give. And so he says, okay, I'm not going to accomplish my goals by constantly punishing. I'm going to accomplish my goals by continually being gracious, and I'm going to work another way out to bring about my plans.
Yeah, so the covenant's like the next step.
Yeah, so he's going to have to make a covenant just to make it clear to man. The way we're going to move forward is that I'm going to make promises to man so that he can learn my character and learn to trust my character. He's putting himself in more boxes, right? Which is so interesting. This is just the wisdom of God. Whenever somebody sins against us, we usually use that as an excuse to put them in more boxes. I know I can't trust them with this, so they don't get that anymore. And they don't get this, and they don't get this. Whereas as we're going to see with the covenant, God ends up giving man more than he had given them before, and he's only putting himself in a box. Before, I allowed myself to flood the earth. Not anymore. And with each covenant, he is actually tightening the box around himself, but he's giving more promises to man.
If anything, it shows more how powerful he is, because if this were anybody else, 2 times in, they would be like in a corner where it's like, well, I literally have put myself in a situation where I can't do anything because I've limited myself too much. Whereas God always has kind of a backup plan. Not even a backup plan. He has a plan, and he's able to limit himself so many times, but yet he still has a plan to work it out.
Whenever we've been doing our study through the book of Daniel, one thing we've consistently seen is that you've got these power-hungry kings who are so determined to prove how powerful that they are that they keep creating these laws that come to bite them in the butt. Whereas God, he's demonstrating what true control looks like. He doesn't feel the need to prove himself. Instead, he is so in control that he's like, I will put limitations upon myself, and I will give more freedom to the other people who keep rebelling against me because I'm confident that I will figure this out. He already knows the end of the story. That's what's so cool about this.